This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to All Have Another podcast with Lindsay Hine. I'm your host, Lindsay. Thank you so much for being here today. Today's episode is sponsored by Gooder. If you are looking for a great pair of sunglasses that are super cute and fun and don't slip around when you run, check out Gooder. My all-time favorites are the Breakfast Run to Tiffany shades. You probably see me wearing them all the time on my Instagram stories or wherever. I also love the aviator style, and they have really fun colors as well. Go stock up. Go to gooder.com/another and use the code another15. That's another 15 for 15% off your order. All right, friends. Hey, today you're listening to episode 365, and my guest is Parker Stinson. Parker is a professional runner. He runs for Saucony. He is the American record holder in the 25K. He ran for the University of Oregon, where he was third in the 5,000 meters at back-to-back NCAA Championships. He has a marathon PR of 2:10:53, a half marathon PR of 62:02, and he holds that American record in the 25K. Parker has had a pretty wild past couple years. He has battled some significant injuries, and in this episode, we talk about that, and we also talk about some mental health battles that he has been working through as well, and he gets really open and honest and vulnerable with us about that. And man, I am cheering for him as he makes his way back into racing. He did run the Boston Marathon last fall, didn't have the race he had hoped for, had to take some time off after. And he just ran the Gate River Run this past weekend, where he placed 16th at the US 15K Champs. And what he said this on Instagram, not the best sounding results on paper, but I was really happy with how I raced the first 10K and put myself in an exciting position for as long as possible. At the end of the day, I simply ran out of fitness and struggled to get to the finish line after that. Training has been well lately, but I took 3 months off after the Boston Marathon, and that really showed today when the going got tough. So that was his first race in 5 months, and he's going to be looking forward to shooting for a new road 10K personal best next month at the Cooper River Bridge Run. So give him a follow, _Parker_Stinson over on Instagram to see how his training is going. Oh, and I will say, he is also sponsored by Coros, and he is running with Roots Running now. So exciting to see him join that team. We'll have an episode coming out with the coach over there, Richie Hansen, with Roots Running in the coming months as well. So it'll be fun to get to know that team a little bit more. All right, friends, if you enjoy this podcast, leave us a quick rating and review on iTunes or wherever you listen. We are doing a monthly giveaway of Gooder sunglasses. Gooder sponsoring this episode of the podcast. And for all new ratings and reviews that come through in March, you will be entered to win a pair of Gooder shades. We just announced the winners from January and February on last week's episode. So if you missed the episode with Val Constein, go check it out and see if you were one of the winners. All right, friends, enjoy my conversation with Parker Stinson. Okay, well, we are talking with Parker Stinson for the podcast today. So we're here. Welcome. How you doing, Parker?
I'm good. Yeah, it's about to snow like 9 inches here in Boulder. So I got in like a kind of rushed workout yesterday. I was a little tired, but got in a rush workout before the snow. And then we'll work out on Saturday after the magic of Boulder happens, where it melts all the 9 inches of snow like in 2 days. So it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty wild. What's the workout that you did?
It was just a fartlek. I did a hard long run on Sunday and then had to come back on Tuesday with a fartlek workout. So I was pretty tired and not really looking to nothing flashy really. But Saturday we'll go to the track and do like a pretty exciting workout. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
What is on your schedule right now?
I got a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to race a lot more. I just haven't been enjoying the process and been enjoying the sport as much as I used to. And I've been running since I was like 10, and I've never really had this issue. Like I've always had a chip on my shoulder and like always wanting to prove things and always wanting to like, I've always been really fired up and self-motivated. And I've really struggled in the last like 6 to 8 months to feel that way. And that was a new feeling for me. And so I wanted to change my situation and my environment a little bit. So I shook things up with like a new coach and new training and new teammates and all this kind of stuff. And it seems to have really helped. And part of that process is I do want to race some more. So I'll do the US 15K champs, I think in like 2 weeks.
Oh, is that
And
Gate
then,
River?
yeah, Gate River run. And then I'm going to do Cooper River Bridge run, 10K, which will be really hard for me. In fact, actually the first two races are going to probably be the hardest for me, 15K and 10K. Just like a little out of my wheelhouse these days, but I think it's really good. Anytime I do those races, when I go back to the longer ones, like a half marathon, a marathon, I just feel, after challenging myself at those shorter stuff, I feel so good at running, right under 5 minute pace or whatever. So I'm going to do those and they'll be hard for me. And then I'm going to do Pittsburgh half.
Okay.
After that. And I'm really excited for that one because I think, like I said, those races can set me up really well. And then I'm going to do a marathon, but I'm not going to share which one.
We're not
yet,
sharing
so.
yet. We have not made the big announcement. Bum, bum, bum.
The big announcement, yeah. It's really not that big a deal, but I do want to like just even like staying healthy and stuff. I want to wait till I get a little closer and healthy and before I make it like a big deal. So,
well, that's exciting. Yeah, I was reading up and saw that you made that decision that you're gonna train less and race more. And I think that's really cool. I was just I mentioned to you that I had just interviewed Lee Troop about that, and it's just like making changes when changes are needed, right? Instead of like falling into those patterns and just keep doing the same thing. It's really important to reevaluate and do that. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I've always, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been really honest with myself when it comes to like my running, and been really hard on myself and kind of dialed things back and looked at the whole picture. So even like at Oregon before, I was really underperforming and stuff like that. And so I dove into like seeing a sports psychologist, multiple sports psychologists. So I've never been afraid to change things up and just be like, hey, yeah, like I'm not running, and like just look myself in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'm not running well. And be okay with like answering the hard questions as to why, and be like, yeah, I am choking or I am doing this or whatever. Because to me, if you're honest with yourself on that, like you're going to progress and you're going to improve. And if you're not, it's like you say, it's kind of hard to keep getting better. So
that's really hard too, because I know that you just poured like so much into Boston this past fall and you didn't get the outcome that you wanted. And so it's like, gosh, you pour so much into something and to say like that wasn't right. I mean, maybe it feels good to say that wasn't right because you don't want to do it again, but it's still hard because you dedicated so much to it.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for Boston, though. I'm really grateful that I ran 2:21 and ran so poorly because I think if I had salvaged like a solid day, I would have kept doing what I was doing.
Sure.
I would have been like, yeah, I needed something drastic, very drastic to like shock me out of it. And I think I would have been like, oh, it was just like, wasn't my day. Mm-hmm. Like this training, this system is still working, even though I'm unhappy. Like I should stick with it because I still ran solid. But to run so poorly and to be so unhappy with the process each and every day, it was just such a wake-up call. So it's weird to say, but I am grateful. If I didn't finish Boston, I would be really sad. But I'm grateful that I still finished and ran really bad because it forced me to ask really tough questions.
What was it? Like, what was it about the training that just really wasn't working? I know we're racing more now, but like there were other things.
Yeah. I was running a bit more, but honestly, just like, I love Dathan and I love the OAC, and Dathan's done so much for me in my career. But his job is OAC and it's just like, he just didn't have the time to support me in the ways that I needed. And especially with marathon training, you really need a lot of support. Like, I mean, even just something as basic as like practicing all that fueling you need to do on a long run is like really difficult. So that was a big thing. He also was really pushing me, which I think was smart, but he was really like, when I ran 2:10 in Chicago, I was doing really amazing workouts and not running that much. And he felt like for me to have a big breakthrough, I needed to do the same workouts, but way more tired.
Okay.
And so I was way more tired, not doing that good of workouts, and not having a coach or teammates around. So like, there just wasn't really much to enjoy in the process. Like, I think in the past, I was okay working out alone and being by myself because I would have really fun, exciting workouts that I was proud of. So that would like give me that boost each week. But I was just doing everything like kind of injured and kind of tired every day. And, when you have other people marathon training with you, it's fine because you're all in the same boat. Misery loves company. But I just didn't really have anyone. And I don't know, it sounds like maybe I'm complaining a little bit, but it's just like we talked about, like, I'm going to be 30. And like, if I'm not enjoying it every day, like, why am I like, I'll just move on and get a different job. Like, there's no point, like there's just not really any point for me to do it then. So, if I was 22 and not enjoying it, it's like, well, you have all this like potential still and all these things you want to do. But I've done a lot more in my career than I thought I would ever do, to be honest, like when I started when I was 10. And so if I'm not enjoying it anymore, then I'm not going to do it. And so I needed something to change.
And so you're training with Roots now, right?
Yeah, I'm training with Roots, and I've known Richard Hansen for a really long time, probably since the middle of my Oregon days. And yeah, it's funny, like Roots may seem like a good decision just based on like they have a lot of good road racers and like they're in town and like all this. But something that was really important to me is like Richie's always been there for me, similar to Dathan. Not in as I haven't given him the opportunity to be there like in as impactful of a way like Dathan has been, but he's always believed in me like as a person, like first and an athlete second, and just been through a lot of tough like times with him. And he's always been very kind and always very thoughtful when, he didn't have to be. So that was really important to me. Like I knew I could lean on him and I knew we could do this together. And then the other parts is like, yeah, Roots Running is doing amazing things. Like at Houston Marathon, they went 4 for 4 with their athletes. And I just can't even explain how hard that is to do with 3 marathon debuts and then someone running an amazing half marathon, Sydney Getabude. So, but I've run so many marathons and I've only got one right. So for him to have 3 guys and Maggie Montoya hit it out of the park, it's really exciting for Roots Running right now.
Yeah, it is really exciting. I actually am supposed to interview Richie, and it's March 15th, and I had my computer set up ready to go yesterday at 10 o'clock, and I was like, oh, this is for March 15th.
Oh, no.
So it'll be interesting to interview him after talking with you, since you're new to working with him now.
Yeah, and I'll have done my first race under him, too.
Oh, nice.
So good or bad, it'll be...
I'll have lots of questions.
It'll be the start of something. And I think he's having a lot of people running at Sound Running too. So you'll have tons of stuff to talk to him about.
That's fun. So you mentioned your marathon that you hit out of the one marathon you hit out of the park, Chicago 2019, 2:10:53. What was the secret sauce for that race, do you think?
Yeah. I was super confident for one, and I was super fired up. Like I had just like, speaking candidly, I had an opportunity to make a lot of money if I broke 2:11. So I was really, really motivated at the time and really, really fired up. And I came off that American record in the 15:25K. And I mean, I went through in 62 flat by myself. So I know it's much different than a marathon, but like to come through in 62 flat by yourself and keep going felt incredible. Like to know, like you could slow down like over 3 minutes and just have to do it twice. And I know like it's very hard, but it just gave me a lot of confidence. One thing I felt like was really that I didn't do before Boston that I think was super critical before Chicago. Boston, we focused on these like hard long runs over hilly routes, but not much marathon pace in those long runs, just like working hard and being tough. And before Chicago, I did about 3 runs where I ran 12 to 14 miles at like right above 6-minute pace. So I know that sounds fast to your listeners and stuff, but it's like a easy to moderate pace for me. Like it's definitely not slow, but it's kind of like wearing the legs out. And then I would hop back to my car and change into super shoes in like about 3 minutes. And then I would run 10 miles at like 5:07 pace at altitude.
Okay.
And it just made me feel so like mentally tough, mentally strong. So I'm running like 22 to 24 miles, but my last 10 are at marathon pace, and they're like the critical 10, you're like 14 to 24. So the overall average of these runs was solid, but it was more like how much marathon pace work I was getting on tired legs. So I just felt so like tough from those runs, and I didn't do those before Boston. And I think that was a little bit of a mistake. So I hope to change that moving forward.
Okay, yeah. So that's interesting. I think a lot of people, you mentioned like that might not sound fast, or that might sound really fast to the listener. I think a lot of people do like marathon pace runs, and they do like easy pace, and then they hop into marathon pace. But it sounds like what was important to you there was like making that easy pace not just easy, but more like a moderate pace to
I guess just it'd be easy to do for listeners. I ran a minute slower for 10 to 14 miles than my marathon pace.
Okay.
And then I ran marathon pace. Super easy.
Yeah.
But like I let those first 10 to 14 come to me. Like that's just what happened. But the goal obviously is like the pressure's on for those like 8 to 10 miles you run at marathon pace. I just happened to run around 6-minute pace. But if I ran 6:15 pace, that's fine too. Like it's just around that area. There's no stress for it. So
what do you run when you're like doing a just easy, like what is your, I know this is like such a boring question, but I'm just curious based on what you just said there. What, like you got to go run 9 miles and it's easy pace. What do you do?
Yeah, I started off at like 7:40 today and then barely broke 7 minutes today. And I did like 8 miles. Yeah. So I used to I've done it all. Like I literally have done it all. In high school, I ran everything so hard. Like I worked out like 3 times a week. I ran like 5:45 pace on every training run. And then I would do that. And then at Oregon, I would go back and forth. I would run easy. And then I'd be like, no, I'm not getting it done. I got to be tougher. So then I would go back to running like 5:30 on every training run out the door. So I've done it all, but I just care so much about my health now and so much about like enjoying the workouts and stuff that I just don't care anymore. Like it doesn't matter to me what I run on my easy days. I know it matters to some people. Like, Joe Klecker is famous for a lot of reasons, I guess now at this point, like he's so good and an Olympian, but what he's really famous for on Strava is Klecker miles. And he runs like everything at 6-minute pace pretty much. So he runs like 100 to 115 miles a week, everything at 6-minute pace, and then does amazing workouts. So I don't know. I mean, he's a lot better than me. So maybe we should be asking him. Maybe I should be emulating him. But
that's so interesting. I know he races at least now shorter distances. Like I know he's more focused on like 10K, but like that just seems really fast for like every run.
Yeah, it does. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing. He does a lot of little things right. So I think he helps keep himself really healthy. The other thing that's happened recently, which has been really interesting, is Roots running. Their warm-ups and cooldowns are like painfully slow, like unbelievable. Like I feel like I'm going to get hurt because my ground contact time is like so ridiculous. But it's funny. I go and I feel great in the workouts. So, I mean, a warm-up is a warm-up, a cool down is a cool down. Like there shouldn't really be this emphasis on pace. Like just do what the goal of it is. And if it helps, if running barely under 8-minute pace for 3 miles for your warm-up gets the job done, then maybe that's good enough. I don't know. But that's something I've been noticing late. It's like what I've been dealing with right now is like, I'm just like, wow, we run really slow. So.
Oh, and I'm sure it changes too, right? Like you've mentioned that you're about to be 30 a few times. It's like it changes as you get older. Like your recovery pace and your easy pace might just change.
Yeah, no, it does.
And 30 is very young, by the way.
Yeah, 30 is very young. Exactly. I have my whole life ahead of me. But I think, I definitely I can do really good workouts and probably even better workouts than I've done before, but I definitely need the extra recovery days in there. Yeah, I would. And I would say that's a big thing I've noticed from being older. So I don't know when it happened. I think also I had like knee surgery.
You've had like
stuff,
crazy
so,
injury, issues.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've just been running a long time, but I didn't feel this way when I was 27. I felt pretty good. So, but I don't know. These last 2 years have been really tough on me.
Yeah. For listeners, I mean, you have had like your time with your injuries. I mean, you had to go eight months without running, which, I mean, for the everyday runner, like that is a long time. People freak out when they can't run for 6 freaking weeks.
Yeah, it was peak COVID too. So like, yeah, it was so bad. I didn't even know if I was gonna be able to get surgery because it wasn't considered like a whatever thing, like a I don't know what it was called.
I know what word you're thinking
but it was like it was basically like the only people that could get knee surgery were like people that like tore their ACL like on the mountain that day or something, basically. But I think because I'm a professional athlete, you find a way to be like, this is a really necessary like surgery. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I couldn't run for 8 months during COVID. That was really tough. I dealt with a lot of like mental health issues for sure. And yeah, it was just crazy. I feel very fortunate to be happy and excited and looking forward to racing again. It's been a long, I mean, I even got really hurt in my Boston buildup, and I'm doing really well now, but I basically couldn't run much for 3 months since Boston. So from Boston to like, I don't know, probably like late December, I wasn't really taking things very seriously. I somehow like tore the seam or strained or tore whatever. Tore sounds so dramatic, but it was, I did a number on it. The TFL and your glute max, the seam, like the fascia / muscle of that area. And I was very fortunate. I was able to run about 50 miles a week, and doing like a few faster workouts on it actually felt better than easy running. But yeah, I ran about 40 to 50 miles a week for like 3 months. It was actually kind of awesome.
Oh, I bet. That's like such a sweet spot. It's like, you got to do what you love.
Yeah, I went to Mexico, went to Florida, and like just, I don't know. I went to Austin, Texas a few times, I think. So it was good.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. You get to do what you love, get some workouts in, but not be like totally exhausted from running 100 miles a week.
Yeah, exactly. And something that's really interesting, and I hope this comes off the right way, but I think we as professional athletes or anyone that's been doing something for a long time, you're so hard on yourself. You always think, I got to do more. But you forget like the reason why you like did this in the first place or like caught the bug was because you had some talent at it. And so what's been a really interesting, I think we like shoot ourselves in the foot a lot with our talent. And what's been really interesting, I may regret this because like I have to race soon, but I was only running 50 miles a week for a bit, and I came back and started getting serious, and my workouts have gone great. And it just reminds me of like, well, maybe like you get in the way of like yourself sometimes, and that we are like a lot more talented than we realize. And just like, you do have to work hard, but maybe it's just like running's so ridiculous. Like every other sport, you don't work hard 12 months out of the year. You take breaks, you do spring camp, you rebuild with lifting programs and cross training. And then you get really serious for like, I don't know, however long the football and baseball season are. But it's so absurd that like how like I was a collegiate athlete and like I have to run cross country, indoor track and outdoor track. That's just insane. And so I think it's been really great that I got that break after Boston, and I'm hoping that I can take that forward and have a really good race at the 15K champs. I'm in good shape, but I don't have a huge body of work. So that may like bite me in the butt. Like, here's what I would say. If it bites me in the butt, I'll be there at like 7 miles, and I just don't have like the last like few miles because like I haven't trained enough, but I am like in good fitness enough to like go and try. So.
Hey everybody, a quick break here to thank Previnex for supporting this episode of the podcast. Are you getting your multivitamins and supplements from Previnex yet? I have been preaching about them for almost 2 years now. I love that their vitamins are clean, they're effective, they're clinically proven to work, and if you don't see results, you can have your money back, guaranteed. They have a great children's vitamin, and also the supplement that most runners are most interested in is the Joint Health Plus. The Joint Health Plus delivers ingredients that are clinically proven to offer the most comprehensive and complete joint protection and relief available on the market. I have seen dozens upon dozens of people see results. It protects your joint, gives you comfort and flexibility. If you don't see results, you get your money back. Check it out. It's the Joint Health Plus supplement. And then lastly, I just want to share, they have a new immunity supplement that's just come out. They have been working for years on this formula. It's an innovative everyday immune health support, clinically formulated to enhance your immune system's ability to adapt and react to your unique immune system needs. I've been taking it every day. I believe in it. I watched a 20-minute webinar about it, so I am educated on this stuff. The Immune Health contains organic antioxidant and beta-glucan-rich maitake, shiitake, and reishi mushrooms that help prime immune cells for optimal immune response. It also has elderberry fruit, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, calcium, full of all the good stuff. So if you have not used my Previnex code, that's the code for 15% off. If you have not used that, use that for 15% off any of the Previnex products. Go to Previnex.com, use the code ANOTHER for 15% off. If you've used that already and you still want to try out this Immune Health Plus, use the code IMMUNITY15 for 15% off your order. And that's for a limited time. Immunity15 for 15% off the Immune Health. If you want to check out their protein powder, any of their other products, you can use the code ANOTHER, Previnex.com, code ANOTHER. All right, friends, enjoy the rest of my conversation with Parker. Yeah, have you changed your racing strategy at all? I know that you're known for being an aggressive racer.
For these races, I won't be that aggressive. It's too fast for me. It's too hard for me already. But in a marathon or half marathon, I feel really comfortable at that distance, making moves, fartlek stuff and being aggressive. I do feel really comfortable. And it's funny, a 15K is pretty close to a half marathon. But even my roommate, Morgan Pearson, is an Olympian in the triathlon, and he's just a beast, but he doesn't run a ton. He can't run that much. And so he's so aerobically strong. And what happened to him at US half champs is he looked amazing through 9 or 10 miles. Like he could win the race. He was up front, looked incredible. And then his legs just totally fell off the last 3 miles because he just isn't yet able to quite run enough for that distance. And so that's an example, though. You think 15K and half marathon is really close, but 15K for Morgan Pearson is going to be a really sweet spot. And you heard it here first. I think he might surprise a lot of people in that race because I think it's just long enough that he can do a lot of damage, but not long enough that his legs are going to the wheels will fall off. So I think it's going to be a really fun race. He'll be there. And I think a lot of faces maybe that aren't usually up there will get to surprise some people because a lot of people are running that Sound 10K race. So we might get to see some different faces at the front, which will be nice. It'll be fun. Is
the Sound race the same weekend as Gate River?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So a lot of people who are in crazy shape right now, I think are going to go run the 10K and try to hit those standards. Because I think it's the USA 10K is even earlier this year than it normally is. So this is probably one of your only shots. So I have a hard time somebody rationalizing running the 15K if you have a chance to run the 10K standard. But you never know.
Yeah.
It's also cool to win a US title. So
right.
I would do that. I would do that over running a time at this point in my career. I would be whatever. I don't care about PRing by 10 seconds. I'd rather try to win something.
Yeah.
So.
And just so everybody knows, this will air after those races. So go look up and see what Parker did at the Gate River. Go see how this panned out for him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the pressure's really on.
But you said you wanna go for wins, but or titles or whatever. But tell me about your thoughts on marathons and times, and also racing them. And I know it's so different. If you're at a major, you're not really running for time so much, unless I guess you're running Chicago or maybe Berlin. You're running for places. So where's your head with that when deciding what you want to run?
Yeah, it's changed in the last few months. So I've decided I mean,
I know you're not
I would
announcing your
like,
marathon, but just like
yeah,
in general,
no,
your
no.
thoughts.
No, I definitely have some thoughts on this for sure. So don't get me wrong. I would like to run a little bit faster than 2:10:53. We'll talk about that later probably. I do think I'm capable of a little bit faster, and I would like to like end my career with a little bit better PR. But as far as a big goal of making the Olympics, I don't think I really need to run much faster. I think I need to learn how to win races and compete really well over 26.2 miles. So I'm shifting to like, well, what motivates me and trying to make the marathon US team I mean, actually, who's a really great example of this is Molly Seidel. She obviously hasn't run a time that she's capable of yet. I mean, she's a bronze medalist and ran amazing in New York. And on paper, her time isn't anything crazy. So that's like what I'm looking to do moving forward a little bit is like, I would love to run faster, but that's not my priority. I've run fast enough, in my opinion, to feel good about myself and feel like I can make a team. But the pieces that are missing are like finding a way to win over the final miles of a marathon, or not even win, just like beat people, whatever it is. So I want to take a step back, and I love the World Marathon Majors, and I think they're an amazing experience, and there's nothing like it. But I don't want my pride to get in the way of progress. And everyone's like, oh, run these World Marathon Majors, run these World Marathon Majors. And I think I really need to take a step back and make some progress in my marathon running. And because of that, I want to run in marathons that I feel like I can be competitive in. And when you're in Boston and you're at mile 15 or 16 and you start to hurt, and there's 20 guys in front of you, it's kind of hard as a like elite athlete to really be that motivated to do well. And Jake Robertson's a good friend of mine, New Zealander, and we hung out after the race, went to a Red Sox game, and he was just telling me, how you run fast is be competitive. And so you don't always get the opportunity if like it's not the right day and not the right people, but when you do something special, it's because your adrenaline's pumping and you're excited about what you're doing. And I think being in a marathon where I could be top 3 and mixing it up for the win is something that I really want to do like in this later part of my career. So yeah, it's changed a bunch. So I won't be running a World Marathon Major probably until I take some steps forward in some smaller marathons.
That is really brilliant. I think that that's like so smart, because you're right. When you are competing at the Olympic trials for the marathon, you're not competing with people from all these other countries. You're competing with your fellow Americans. And it's like,
yeah,
it's a different race. Obviously it's the best of the best in our country, but like, it's just not the same. So I think that that's really smart.
Yeah, like I love time and I love running fast, but like here's the deal, like there's 2 reasons to run fast. To get a big contract and hit bonuses, and you have to run the standard to make the Olympics. That's like what it only comes down to. And right now 2:10:53 is fast enough. So I don't know what the standard will be, and when it comes out, I'll make sure to run that time, because that's what I need to do to even talk about making an Olympic team. You have to hit the standard. And I'm supported by Saucony and a few other companies, and like time isn't a huge deal to me anymore, because I hit some marks that changed my career for me. So it doesn't really matter anymore. It just matters about competing and having good races. And then, I'll just get to this because it's one of your questions, but the 2 things that motivate me right now is like, I want to become an Olympian. That's one thing I haven't done. And, it was just kind of a dream of mine for a long time. I never really would say it was a goal, but once I ran 2:10 and got 3rd in Chicago against tons of Americans, I mean, there was like 12 Americans there with 3 miles to go. So that was a great example of not only running fast, but I was the 3rd American. And I even put the pressure on myself. I was like, look, you're already going to run fast. If you want to make the Olympic team, you have to find a way to get top 3 in this race. And that's exactly what I did. And that's why I'm so proud of that. And so I want to that changed me to feeling like being an Olympian is a goal of mine. And then the other little goal that I have is I'd love to run 2:08:58, because the fastest marathoner in Saucony shoes ever is Rod Dixon at 2:08:59. And he didn't have super shoes, and he did it at New York and all this stuff. But it would be really cool to get a headline like that, and really like endorsed the new Saucony shoes with being the fastest marathoner ever for them. So
that's really cool. Yeah, that's a really cool goal. I think I've heard you say that before. Talk to us about Saucony and your partnership with them.
yeah, they're amazing. They're just like such a family, like feeling company. And like, I signed with them 3 days after University of Oregon. I think I could have probably signed sooner, but I had like 2 huge finals going on, like essays I had to write. So I wasn't really talking to anybody. And then once we got on the phone with some people, it happened pretty fast. So they believed in me right out of the gates. And then like I ran really well for like a year under them in my first contract. And I got Achilles surgery and I couldn't run for 6 months during that time. And that was really difficult because I was in Eugene, Oregon at the time. And all there was to Tracktown USA. So all I was there was an athlete and a former Duck. And now I can't run anymore. So that was incredibly difficult and really like identity crisis. And that's when I moved to Boulder because I just felt like there wasn't enough going on in Eugene for me anymore. And I felt really lost and sad without running. And running came back to me and I did okay in my first contract, but it had been a while since I had done anything like too spectacular. And probably like to the point of like, I didn't probably deserve much of a second contract. Saucony once again believed in me. They never reduced me with my Achilles surgery. They gave me a second contract for 3 years and they put in, it was a tough contract, but they put in some things in there that allowed me to bet on myself and really change my career, which was super cool and super exciting. And that's why, a lot of people always like wondered, like, why does this guy blow up in marathons? Why does he always blow up and whatever? And it was basically, the deal was maybe I wasn't in sub 211 shape, but I could change my life if I broke 211. And if I didn't break 211, nothing really changed. So it was kind of like, if I'm going to run a marathon, like I'm going to go for it. Where maybe I was probably in 212 shape and probably should have run more conservatively, but there was just like nothing to really gain for me by doing that. So that was my second contract. So they've just always believed in me. And then I also broke the American record in my second contract. And that was really special because some of the people that had been there and given me my second contract were the same people that believed in me during my Achilles surgery. And so to go into Saucony HQ and have the president of Saucony and then the vice president of Wolverine, who owns Saucony, be there. They made a cake for me and like they asked me to do a speech and the whole company was there. That's something I'll never forget. And something that like didn't need to be done, like that was above and beyond. And then, fast forward to this next contract, they signed me to a 4-year contract. And before that contract, I had knee surgery and hadn't run for 8 months and dropped out of the Olympic trials. Well, not even dropped out. I didn't start the Olympic trials and they gave me a 4-year contract. So I don't know. I love them. They love me. It's been a really amazing partnership. And I just always want to make them proud. Like I sometimes feel like undeserving of it, but I try to do the best I can with it.
Well, I think it's really cool that they've stuck by you like through these injuries. I mean, your injuries are not going to be what define your career, and they actually make you like a little more human and a little more relatable, honestly.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. But it's super cool. Like I will never run for anybody else. Like I'll just be done. And I will have run for Saucony if I finish this contract out for 10 years.
Wow, that's cool.
And run for no one else. I don't want to run for anybody else. Like I just want to start and finish my career in the same spot. And I think I'll probably be able to do that, which is really, really cool.
How did you get yourself out of the mental health issues that you were dealing with during COVID and when you had the injury? Like, what were some things that you did to get help?
Yeah, we actually kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, is like, I've never been afraid to ask for help and to acknowledge that I'm not perfect and to acknowledge that like I'm really struggling and have issues with I'll preface it with, I've never had problems doing that with running. But when it's your real life and who you are, it's probably a little bit more difficult. But I was able to take the lessons I've learned from running and apply them to my life. And honestly, I started seeing multiple therapists. And after about maybe a month or two of like therapy with somebody, there's a few red flags that popped up. And I've never shared this with anyone actually, so this is interesting. A few red flags that popped up, and they sent me to, I believe it would be a psychiatrist. That's like who can prescribe like drugs or something, I guess. So difference between a therapist and psychiatrist. So they sent me to a psychiatrist, and in immediately the first session, like right then and there, she diagnosed me as being bipolar and immediately put me on medication. And so that was pretty shocking, and that was really upsetting to me. I don't know why. I think it just felt like, when I look back at my life, I kind of felt like something was always a bit off with me, but I thought it was just what made me special at running. Like I was just so intense, and I thought that was just me being kind of a good athlete. But when I see how it like transcended into my life and like in other ways, I really think I did have a problem. And I'm just really sad it took me till like I was 27 years old to like figure that out. So, yeah, I still see her. I still am in therapy. It's taken about a year and a half to get on the right drugs. It's been really difficult. There's been a lot of like swing and misses and a lot of failures of like finding out what works. A lot of them made me, they kept me from being sad, but they also made me like so out of it and so numb. Like I would be hanging out with friends and I would want to contribute to a conversation, and I like couldn't, like my brain wasn't processing fast enough, and like I couldn't contribute, and I would just sit there. And so I got off that drug because that's not who I am and who I want to be. So, yeah, I don't know. You can ask more questions about this. I don't want to like just keep going on and on, but basically, I guess to answer your question is I have a lot of support with therapy and prescription medication now. So,
no, I think it's really important to talk about it. I really do. And also important to talk about the fact that you found something that works. Do you feel like the medicine is it's a good fit for you now?
Yeah, I do. I'm on like a mood stabilizer and an antidepressant, which has been really helpful. And then it's just hard to know, like, it's like, I don't know if this phrase works correctly, but it's like chicken or the egg. So like, obviously I'm doing really, really well now, but like, is that because I found the right drugs, or is it because I'm like now part of Roots and I'm excited about it's just like, what is what, but yeah, I'm doing really well now and I'm really grateful. So, I mean, it's definitely, the drugs aren't not working, I guess, because I would definitely notice that. That's what they say about these kind of things. You're like, oh, I'm feeling good. Like, I don't need them anymore. And people like get off them and they're like, oh shit. So, yeah, I do. It's taken a long time, but right now I feel really supported, and I'm sure that will change. I'm sure that's why I have to keep seeing these people. Because you never know when something's going to stop working, or when you just go through, like, there's been once or twice things were working for me, but I went through like a really rough patch in my life, and I needed a lot more support than I was getting from like the baseline stuff. And it was really great to be able to just like contact my psychiatrist and therapist and go ahead and like get that rolling and get the support needed when you're having a really bad day. So,
I feel like two reasons people get hesitant, and there's more reasons than this, but pop into my mind, hesitant to see a therapist and hesitant to take medicine is because of the trial and error piece, right? Like finding a therapist that's a good fit is also trial and error. So it's like I have to date my therapist and figure out if this is going to work. And then going through does this medicine work? Will it make me feel sick? Will it make me feel tired? And all these things. And I just feel like that becomes a barrier.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, the practice that I've had with running and reaching out to sports psychologists and being really hard on myself, it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to have flaws, but it's not okay to like not try to be better and learn from those things. And so, yeah, I just was in a really tough patch in my life, and like I was really struggling, and like I just like I never wanted to like make the same mistakes and never be like that person again, and like I wanted to just be better. And so I sought out a lot of help. I'm really grateful that I had the time to invest in these things by there not being too many races and too much pressure to perform as an athlete, because I needed to focus on, it was like another injury. Yeah. It really was like, I needed to spend the time and effort into figuring it out. And I mean, I couldn't get out of bed like a lot of days, like more or less run, so it was kind of easy for time to pass when I had the knee surgery, because like I couldn't really run anyways, like mentally. So
well, I'm so happy that you got the help and that you're doing well. I mean, I think it's so important to talk about it, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I'm doing really well now. Like I said, it's always a work in progress. So that's why I still see everybody and spend all my money on it.
It ain't cheap, that's for sure.
No, it's not.
There's a barrier I didn't mention right there.
That's a huge barrier. Yeah. You know what? That is something we should say though, because it's like, why doesn't everyone get help? It's so expensive. That's not fair. That's not fair to like put that on people, because I don't think insurance covers much of that stuff either. So it's not fair to like criticize people for not getting help, because it is really hard to do it for so many reasons. And one of them is sadly financially. So.
Hey everybody, one last break here to thank Lily Trotters for supporting this episode of the podcast. Lily Trotters has the best compression socks on the market. Their new Elite Sport Compression are so comfortable. They have added reinforcement in the shin panel, enhanced Achilles support, padded reinforced Y-toe, which reduces friction and rubbing. They're moisture wicking and antimicrobial. I love the Elite Sport. But what you will see me mostly in when I'm out running is the crew socks. I love their crew socks. Not only are they super cute, they just give me what I need. I wear them with my shorts. I wore them in the recent half marathon, the Wilmington half marathon that I ran. The ones I'm loving are the Four Kisses Blue Ombre Crew. And you all can support this woman-owned small business when you go to lilytrotters.com and use the code IHA. That's IHA. Get it? I'll have another for 20% off your order. So lilytrotters.com, code IHA for 20% off your order. Thank you so much for supporting sponsors of this podcast. That's what keeps this whole thing going. You listening and the sponsors supporting. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of my conversation with Parker Stinson. Okay, so tell us about Roots and like training with Noah, and what does training look like for you now? I know you've said in the past that you run on the treadmill sometimes.
Yeah, I run on the treadmill a lot. I don't know. I just like it for some reason. And
I like it
listening
too.
to music. Yeah, I like listening to music and stuff. I would say running super easy on the treadmill is kind of brutal.
Yeah,
I'm more like into like doing something like when you're doing something exciting. And my roommate Morgan has this really fancy, nice, like 500-pound woodway treadmill, 495-pound woodway treadmill.
The woodways are the best.
Yeah. So I like that. And then, yeah, so training with Roots has been amazing. It's just like right now it's been really hard in the winter because I just heard on the news last night, it snowed every week for the last 7 weeks, which is unlike Boulder. I would take it snowing like 2 or 3 days in a row and then like the sun doing its thing for 2 weeks. But it's been like every time that Boulder has melted the snow, it's almost melted again, or it's almost snowed again. So it's been really difficult. But what's been great training with Roots is like, we'll have practice at 7:30 in the morning in the dead of winter, and there's ice everywhere. And like, we all find a way to get it done somehow. And those are just like moments where like, if I was by myself, I'd be like, dude, like no one's working out right now. This is stupid. Like it doesn't make sense. And there I am thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is stupid. I can't believe we're doing this. But then like 8 other people are doing it. So you just like go with it. And it's been great. So I feel really supported by them too. And Richard Hansen is a very busy man, and spends tons and tons of time with us. It's pretty, I don't know how he does it. So
yeah, because he has really his own like chiropractic practice as well.
Well, it's even more crazy. You should talk to him about this. I mean, I think he'd be okay talking about it. I don't know, but I think he's kind of like dialed that back quite a bit, and he's going, I could be wrong. I'm probably saying things wrong, but he's going back to school for his MBA.
I think he shared that on social media.
Yeah. And, so he's like a full-time student right now.
And that's no joke. The MBA thing is no joke.
No. So it's honestly way harder than him working as a chiropractor, it seems like to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 7:30 a.m. That is early going for like a bunch of pro runners. Is that because people in the group have regular jobs too?
yeah, a lot of people have regular jobs. They're pretty blue collar vibes, I would say. But also another reason is like Richie has school,
Yeah.
I think. So like we have to get it done. And I don't mind 7:30 a.m. I don't mind like getting up in the morning. I don't care. But in the winter, it's pretty ridiculous
Yeah. When
because
it's
especially
dark.
in Boulder by like 9 or 10, all that ice can be gone
Ah.
on some of those days. So
Uh-huh.
it's like kind of
Like,
crazy.
what are we doing out here?
Yeah, but like I said, if everyone else is going to work out and make it work, then who am I to dash your dreams to work out? So
Now, are you doing your second? If you have a 2-day workout run, do you do your second one by yourself?
yeah, for sure. And I don't usually meet up with too many people, or definitely not people from the team for like easy running. Because back like we talked about, I just like to run really easy and recover. So like I'll run with like Morgan, like Reed Fisher sometimes, Charlie Lawrence. Oh, I run with Sid Vaughn all the time.
Oh, okay.
And he is on the team. Yeah, I run with him all the time. But I'm like very particular about who I run with on my recovery days.
Wait, so
So
Sid Vaughn, I don't think I realized. I knew he left NAZ, but I didn't realize he joined Roots.
yeah, he joined Roots. He's really talented. He keeps having a lot of setbacks, unfortunately, just like life and health and everything. But on the days that he's feeling good, he shows that like he can be a really good runner. So I hope he can get a few months of just like the poor guy, just like uninterrupted normal training, and I think he can turn some heads like he was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're not announcing our spring marathon, but spring marathon is happening.
Yeah, definitely happening. I may try to do a lot of marathons, honestly. Like I may try to do like at least maybe, I mean, definitely two in the next year, which is unusual for me, but definitely maybe even three.
Okay.
And why I feel that way is just like the marathon training under Dathan was so brutal. Like it just
Mm.
took everything out of me to do that. And so far, I don't feel like the marathon training is going to be that hard under Roots. So I feel like I will have more to like be more energized to like do more races and
Yeah,
stuff.
like
So
you'll have more to give, and maybe the recovery won't be as intense.
yeah, exactly.
What's something that you learned from Dathan? I know you worked with him for several years, and he's iconic in the sport. He's doing great things with his group. But like, what's
Yeah.
something you learned from Dathan that you will always take with you with your training and racing?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably part of the reason why I needed to leave him
Mm.
too, was like, I think what I would take with him is like being happy and excited is like one of the most important things you can have. It doesn't matter like how talented you are, or how fit you are. Like if you're not excited and happy about what you're doing, then it's going to show. Because I remember, this is kind of cool. I remember we talked right after Boston, and we were just like going up, literally like right after Boston. Like I'm in the hotel room. He's like, it wasn't like, it was a good conversation. It wasn't like anything like as you would expect after someone runs 2:21. It was good, but we were just talking like what could we have done different, like what went wrong, and like blah blah blah. And we were nitpicking like all these things. And after about a 30-minute conversation, I just said, like moving forward, I don't know what like to do. Like I've just been so unhappy. And he was like, well, then everything we just talked about like doesn't matter. Like all the nitpicking things we talked about, all the things we want to change, like none of those things matter. Like if you're unhappy.
Mm.
And so I'll definitely take that with me.
What a
I
wise
would
thing for him
definitely,
to say to you, though, like in that moment.
yeah, no, for sure. And like when we parted ways, when we talked, it was like we both still really wanted to work with each other, but it became like selfish.
Mm.
Like he couldn't give me what I needed, and I wasn't happy, and I couldn't give him what he needed, like in a lot of ways probably too. And so we just, in spite of that, we love each other so much. We wanted to keep working together, but it hit him. Like he's the one who brought it up and just said, it would be selfish of us to like keep trying this. And it's not fair to you. It wasn't fair to either of us really by the end. Wasn't just me. So yeah. And another thing I'd take with him is just like, two things I would take, like being fast is very important. Like having speed and power is really important, even in the marathon, which a lot of people don't think about. But if you can run 420 pace easier, then it makes running right under 5 easier. Like it just adds up. And so I really like that. And then something he always says is like, that I like is he says, never bet against the big talent. And he was always talking about like, he used that to talk about a few people, but one person he talked about was Mcconaughey, and everyone had written him off and he kept running horrible in all these marathons. And it was just like, I mean, kind of washed up, honestly. And then he put himself in a different situation, went to the Netherlands. Like they really monitored like what he was doing, and he stayed way healthier. He lost a lot of weight because he would get kind of like soft, I guess, in Ethiopia. And he went and almost broke the world record by 2 seconds. He missed it by 2 seconds, and they probably barely even paid him to show up, you know, like because he had run so bad and for so long. And I just remember Dave the next day was just like, yeah, you never bet against somebody like that. Like you have to have respect for people go through stuff, but if you've done enough in your career and had some pretty big things, like you should be careful, like saying somebody's doesn't have it anymore, because they may come back and surprise you when things go their way. So I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it just makes me think like he needed a change.
Yeah.
He needed a change. He went and changed some things, then he came back and almost broke the freaking world record.
So cool. Yeah, so cool.
This is the theme of my day today, is like from talking to Lee and now talking to you, like it's just like it's like that's why I love this podcast. I feel like it like speaks into my own life and hopefully speaks into the life of the listeners a little bit too. Like if something's feeling stale, if something's feeling off, if something's not fulfilling anymore, you're not happy, like what change needs to happen? Don't just sit there, like make the change.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, I think when you're younger, you just like shut up and like do things and like, and trust people and stuff. But as I've gotten older, it's just like, you shouldn't, and just like the last 2 years of my life, it's like, you can't waste time on people that don't really care about you. And you can't waste time on things like that you don't really care about, or people you don't really care about. And you just like, when you get, the older you get, you realize like who really is there for you and who isn't. And yeah, it's just like, it's what you're saying. Like you should just cut people out of your life and spend time, invest more time in the people that are important to you and the things that are important to you. Is what I would suggest. It'll make you a lot more happy, I think.
I can't believe that we are already at 53 minutes. Like what happened? How did that happen? I have to ask you, okay, tell me about this watch. Like I'm a Koros fan. They sponsor the podcast, but like, is this like a graphic, like super, like what is this? Yeah,
you can't get this anymore. I don't think it's the Kipchoge one.
Okay. It looks super cool.
Yeah. And I think this is like the Breaking 2 kind of like font.
Okay.
I think, cause it's definitely different than the other, stuff. Yeah. I love it. I didn't get it when it was available. I asked for it late. And it came in like a box, like all smushed and like destroyed. And I think they just like found it in the back warehouse or something for me, because like they're definitely not around anymore. I don't think, unfortunately. But if they sponsor your podcast, they might hook you up.
Okay. I want one of the ones from the warehouse that's beaten up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It gives it character.
But is that the Pace? Which one? What watch is that? Like,
it's the Pace 2.
Okay,
it's
the Pace 2.
Yeah. The Pace 2 Kipchoge edition.
Okay, tell me about this, because I just have the Apex, but the Pace 2, you can actually like program your what? You're looking at me like what?
It's so light. It's like, it feels like sorry for the noise. My dog keeps dropping his bone over and over again.
It's okay. I'm pro dog. And I have children in the hallway screaming. So
yeah. It's just so light. Like it honestly feels like a watch you would get out of like a gumball machine or something. Like it's like, you're like, there's no way. How does this like do all the things you need it to do? Because like, there's not enough stuff like in it or on it. Yeah, you should check it out. It'll probably blow your mind, but yeah, the same crazy battery life. And then, yeah, I program workouts in there all the time. Like fartleks are amazing. So like you're doing like any sort of fartlek, you just program it the night before, morning of, while you're sipping your coffee. And then like, you don't have to look down at your watch.
It just beep for
or
you.
Like split anything. It just starts like 5 seconds out. It just goes beep, beep.
That's awesome.
Beep, beep for start and finish. So which is what a fartlek should be, right? Like you shouldn't be looking at the
Like
pace that much.
obsessing over like when the time's going to click over.
I mean, I definitely do that a little bit more than most people probably, but like you shouldn't be doing that. So,
I mean, everybody gets a little antsy when you're like doing like a 2-minute really fast interval and you're like, okay, do we have 30 seconds or 20 seconds or 10 seconds
exactly
left? Give us a fun fartlek workout.
I don't know if it's fun, but it's hard and gets you fit. It's Dathan's one.
Okay.
It's a pyramid, so you go 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 2-2, 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 2-2, 1-1, and you can just do that times infinity. And it's pretty hard on the ons and then moderate on the offs. But it's hard to average fast because you're having equal rest and recovery.
Yeah.
So if you can average fast on that, like you're getting in pretty good shape. And even like Ollie Hoare and those guys do that workout too. Like, and they're running the mile,
Yeah.
So they do that.
Yeah, the 3 gets really long. I copied someone's workout, I don't know, like a year ago or something, and like a 2:30 marathoner. So somebody that's really fast. And I was like, oh, this won't be too bad. And I'm only doing half of it. Like she went up and down the ladder twice and I just went up and down the ladder once, but it was like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes.
That's crazy.
3 minutes and then back on down. And I didn't even double the 3 minutes. I just went back on down. And by the time I got to the end of that, I was dead.
Yeah. No, fartleks are sneaky hard for sure.
All right, cool. Well, Parker, tell me, what is something professionally or personally you'd like to do that you haven't done yet?
So we already touched on this one, but I'll just repeat it. Yeah, it's like I'd love to become an Olympian for the United States in the marathon. And then I'd love to run 2:08:58 so that I could be the fastest person in Saucony shoes ever. I think that'd be really cool. But that's kind of it.
Listen, I don't know what to do with that question because lately, actually, like, I don't know, probably 60% of the time, I'm like, we just answered that question. So maybe I just throw it out. But I love.
It's good to remind people.
Yeah. And I love finishing the podcast with my little like spiel.
I think too, sometimes I think it's worth doing because sometimes you'll probably get a really cool answer unlike mine. You'll get like a very unique like answer, like maybe like something personally that someone wants to share. So I think it's worth doing.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. So Parker's voting to keep it in.
Yeah.
What's the best, most recent book you've read?
It was a while ago, but I love the Wheel of Time series. Like I love like an epic fantasy novel and it's like 14 books. It's so ridiculous. And Amazon just picked it up and they did the first season of it, a show.
Oh,
so
is it good? Did you watch the show?
The show's okay. But I think by like it was good enough. I think by like season 3, it'll like catch fire. Like I think they're going to get like a lot more funding and like the story will make more sense and you'll be more invested. So I'm calling like by season 3, it's going to be really good.
Okay. Love it. Who's someone fun, motivating, or inspiring that you would like to have coffee, tea, or a cocktail with?
Probably Matthew McConaughey. He's from Texas and UT and like I lived there for a while and I was born in Austin, Texas. And I don't know. I like a lot of his movies. I loved his Oscar-winning speech. I thought it was so amazing. And then I have not read or listened to it yet, but I've heard his book, Green Lights, is just like unbelievable. And so I just think he's really inspiring, really wise. And I just feel like you would leave like coffee with him and be like, almost like not know what just happened. Like be like, but how am I, like be like, I've been living my life so wrong, That's how I feel like you would feel.
He seems so common, just as far as like you wouldn't feel like, oh, I'm talking to this super famous person.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I listened to him on a ton of interviews when he was like doing podcast tours when like his book came out, and I want to read his book too. Now we'll link the Oscar speech, friends. We'll link that to the show notes.
Oh, cool! It's so good.
All right, last question. What is your last message to leave with our audience today?
My last message would just be, my grandparents gave me some really good advice one time, and it's super simple, but just always be kind. And I think it sounds really simple, but it's very hard to do. Like, it's very hard to like act that way in your life consistently, but you just never know what people are going through and what's going on. And like, I think when you look back on your life, if you were always kind, like what regrets would you have, like being nice to people all the time, you know? So I think that was really good advice. And before we go too, I'd love to, because I know this is one of your questions too, but we are running out of time. But a nonprofit I'd like to support. Saucony is collaborating with them too. They've actually been collaborating with them for maybe 3 years or 2 years, I think. And it's Black Girls Run. And I wrote down, just because I didn't want to mess it up, I wrote down their mission statement. And I just think it's really important and really, it's just kind of surprising too when you hear some of this stuff. So Black Girls Run wants to encourage African-American women to make fitness and healthy living a priority. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 80% of African-American women are overweight. Black Girl Runs wants to create a movement to lower the percentage and subsequently lower the number of women with chronic diseases associated with an unhealthy diet and sedentary lifestyle. 80%. And I just think with help, like that number could drop so fast with the right support. Yeah. So I think it's really cool that Saucony is teaming up with them. And, we're only doing as much as we can. It needs a lot more support than we're giving it. But, just to share their mission statement, I think is really cool to your listeners. And maybe that can make a difference.
I need to look and see if there's a Black Girls Run here in Raleigh. We recently moved here, but there's a really active community in Indianapolis. And I used to do some part-time work at the Run specialty store there. And so I got to know the team, the Black Girls Run team in Indianapolis. Yeah. And like, they're just awesome. Like I've met so many friends since then from their group. And
that's so cool.
Yeah. I actually had Tony Carey right when I started this podcast. She's the co-founder of Black Girls Run. She doesn't work with them anymore. I think she's like moved on from the organization, but I had her on the podcast like early days, like maybe 2016.
Oh, you were in before it was a thing. That's awesome.
But she's so cool. I actually think I'm doing an event this summer that she's going to be on stage and I get to talk with her and interview her some more. So, I love that you highlighted them. I love what they do. Now I want to look up and see if there's a group here in my new city. So yeah. And you know what?
Yeah. You'll make some more friends. Like
I know.
You said, it'll be great.
Question though. Should I keep that question? Because I've been taking it out because sometimes people, I think, don't have an answer. And then, so maybe I just need to confirm ahead of time.
You got to confirm ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because it definitely
nobody wants to be put on the spot.
If someone doesn't have something like that, it makes them feel
like an asshole.
Yeah. I was going to say exactly feel like an asshole, but I didn't want to say it on your podcast. But yeah, you kind of feel like an asshole if you don't have an answer.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's really cool and it helps somebody think critically about what's important to them. So I think you should keep it in, but maybe even like highlight it.
Yeah. Make sure.
Make sure, or like, hey, this is optional, but if you can think of anything, like our listeners love hearing about this kind of thing.
And if you don't have an answer, maybe you should evaluate your life. Maybe you are an asshole.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's critical thinking for sure.
Parker, this has been super fun. We'll email you when this comes out. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you for thinking of me and really appreciate it.
Okay, best of luck at Gate River.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey friends, thanks so much for being here today. Thank you, Parker, for coming on the show. Go follow Parker _ Stinson _ on Instagram. You can also find me personally on Instagram. I'm Lindsay Hine 626 over there. You can learn about this show, this episode at sandyboyproductions.com. Just click on the I'll Have Another tab and that'll take you to the most recent episode. You can sign up for our newsletter there where all of our new show notes. So like today, for instance, the show notes that everything we talked about will be sent to the inbox of anybody signed up for that newsletter. And you can sign up for that over on our website. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review because we are drawing a winner every single month. We look at all the new ratings and reviews on iTunes and Spotify, and we pick one winner per month to win a pair of Gooder sunglasses. And I announce the winner on the podcast. If you have any questions, need anything from me, have any suggestions, anything at all, I'm Lindsay at sandyboyproductions.com. We just released a new Patreon episode this week with my friend Lauren Flores, who just ran a 1:15 half marathon. Super excited to hear about that, as well as her new coaching job at Pepperdine. So tune in there, patreon.com/Lindsay Hine if you want to check that out. All right, friends, have a great Friday, a wonderful rest of your weekend. And as always, I'll see you next Friday.
See you next Friday.